Hi, everyone. I'm recording this on Friday afternoon, which means I'm going to try and keep this super short because I have the attention span of a gnat right now. Have friends with COVID, waiting on COVID tests, election hanging in the balance. I could go on, as all of us can in these times, with a litany of stresses that are on our minds. And so when I am stressed, like many people, I like to turn to the medieval mystics, the Christian mystics, for some wisdom. And one of my favorites in these times is Julian of Norwich. And she is most famous for a quote. She has a whole book of writings, but in there she writes, "All will be well, all will be well, all manner of things will be well." And she did not mean this in a, oh, everything's fine, naive kind of way at all. Quite the opposite. Julian lived through the bubonic plague, the Black Death, gruesome, horrible way to die. And many people, scholars, believe that she actually had children who all died from the bubonic plague. This woman knew suffering. And at that same time, she lived through the peasant revolts, which were horribly violent, brutal uprisings. There's like severed limbs in the streets and decapitations. And when working class people were caught by the crown, they were drawn and quartered. And if you don't know what that means, look it up and you will see that our history, our human history, is filled with times of suffering, with wars and diseases and cruelties and all kinds of things. And so when Julian wrote, "All will be well," she did not mean that we will not suffer, our children will not suffer, we will not die. She meant quite the opposite, that in fact we will suffer and our children will suffer and we are all going to die, but that there is this greater source of love that is always there present with us in our suffering. So we are never alone. Even if we're physically alone, we are never alone because there is this love that is present alongside of us. And when we die, we will dissolve into that larger love, that larger source. And so no matter what happens, all will be well, all will be well. And it's helpful too. I bring up sort of the brutality and gruesomeness of the time she lived in. I bring that up to remind us that human history is filled with torment and suffering, and we are just a blip in that larger story, that our lives are just a tiny blip in that larger human story. And throughout that human story, there is also the presence of love and compassion. And so may we all be able to tap into that larger source of love, to know that we are not alone, and to let our lives speak to that love and embody that love. And may you all be well. Amen.